Hello, Golf 22, this is 3, grid 733644, moving vehicles, over.
Golf 22, roger. Fire mission battery.
Oh, 2, this is 2-2, fire mission battery, over.
At my command, 3 rounds, fire for effect.
3, moving PT-76, at my command, 3 rounds, fire for effect, over.
Fire.
Fire, over. Who's up?
Shot out. End of mission. PT-76 is withdrawing.
End of mission. PT-76 is withdrawing. Over.
Welcome back everyone, it's me Matt. Thank you so much for joining me on today's video. A lot of you have been asking, Matt, where's the content? You've not been producing much recently, and yes, I have been extremely busy the last 6 or 7 months and through the summer with a lot of things going on with my both career, just personal life, and military training, and that's what specifically I'd like to talk to you a bit about today. It's one of the reasons why I'm so absent from my channel is I've been on some military courses with the Canadian Armed Forces as an artillery gunner, working to become a observation post member and an observation post member second in command. Now this job is very unique. It's basically the front end of the artillery, watching rounds come in. I'm sure many of you know what artillery observation members are, and if you don't, we're going to talk a little bit about it today. Now the course that I went into, I must admit, was a bit of a challenge for me. I went in quite blind. It is the first technical course that I've had in the artillery, which basically means that normally when you qualify to become a gunner in the artillery, you're on the gun line, you operate the weapon systems that you've been trained upon, whether it be the M777, the LG-1 or the C3 howitzer, and you operate and learn to become a gunner. This is one of the first courses that I did where I actually learned to become more of a technical trade and learning to do something completely different to the gun line, and it's eye-opening. It's eye-opening and also a bit of a challenge for me because I've never done anything like it before. You know, as a trade, the artillery is very unique. There's a lot of different opportunities for you to go different directions, or what we call different streams in the artillery. You have reconnaissance, you have the command post, you have the observation post, the gun line, if you're lucky enough, STA or surveillance targets acquisition. So there's lots of different realms you can go into in the artillery, and I chose and was selected to go for observation post member, which is a really, really good honor for me, honestly, because it's a very rare course as a reservist in the artillery, and I was blessed because not only did I get selected to get put onto the course, but my employer from my civilian side allowed me to attend the course, which were technically 2 courses, both OP member and OP2IC, which is roughly about 6 weeks, which is a lot of time to take off from civilian employment. So it was really, really good. And the other great benefit of going onto this course is I was attached into a Reg Force subsidiary of the course, which means I have the ability to do the same fire missions or the same technical abilities as a OP2IC in the regular force than I do in the reserve force. It's not a huge difference, it's just some different special procedures and the way in which you can actually call fire missions. Not a huge difference. It's basically you can do the same thing, and it doesn't make a huge difference to me anyway, because I'm not going to be deploying with a reg force as an observation post member. But it was a lot of fun. The people that I met on the course were fantastic, both courses. You know, we had reg force soldiers, we had guys with a lot of experience on the command post, on reconnaissance, all sorts of backgrounds, which was really nice. I was definitely the noob of the group. Very little experience on both OP, 0 experience on OP, 0 experience in command post or reconnaissance. So I was completely new to the realm of the observation post world, and it was really cool to just sort of benchmark from people and learn from them. And you know, I was definitely like a deer in headlights about 90% of the time, but that's okay. You know, you don't go into a course expecting to know everything. If you have the benefit of the doubt, having a lot of background in sort of the command post, which gives you a huge amount of sort of at least radio procedure or understanding and knowledge of how the artillery works on a sort of grand basis of things, it does help a lot. And when you start learning about the observation post duties and the kind of capabilities that you have, it makes you appreciate the artillery even more, and even more so the other trades within the artillery, whether it be reconnaissance or the CP. More importantly, the CP, honestly, you know, the amount of information that they're being sent, processing and delivering to the gun line at any one time is astonishing. The box, as we call it, is a small command post vehicle that has 3 or 4 members of staff in there, and they're working their socks off to accomplish a lot of different things at any one time. So it definitely gave me a sense of, real respect for the command post. No offense to obviously the gun line or reconnaissance or any other trades there, but the observation post and the FOO, or the forward observation officer, work closely and integrally with the CP to ensure that the intention of the originator, which is the OP, the ones actually calling the rounds, is being met. I'm going to do a video in the near future of fire discipline and how it works with sort of the artillery system. I'm not a subject matter expert in any way, shape or form, but I like to discuss things that if people have interest in becoming something within the artillery or a trade within the artillery group or family, they have a little bit more of an understanding of how fire discipline applies to each sort of different trade in that group, especially with the OP and the gun line, because you learn things on the gun line, you learn fire discipline and how it works and the language of fire discipline and fire control, and then when it comes to actually calling in the rounds as an OP, it all just comes together. It all sort of links. You just start piecing the chunks together and saying, oh, that's why we do it that way. When you're trained as a gunner, yeah, you do things and you're told to do it a specific way and you kind of understand it, but until you start learning other different disciplines and different job responsibilities in the artillery, it doesn't sink in as well. I find that when you actually start doing new things. Now, as an OP, you're primarily responsible for actually calling in the shots, adjusting the rounds on target, and responsible for communicating with the ground force commander who wants to actually prevent, an attack, engaging him, or beginning an attack, or whatever he wants, or she, to engage the battle. And when I came into this course, I knew very little about the tactics that are involved with working with the artillery, and you start to realize that the ground force commander has a huge asset that he can use at any one time, whether it be artillery rounds themselves, OPs just actually monitoring and observing targets moving into positions that can be recorded and reported to the ground force commander to make his own intent and own plan. Really, really interesting. And the thing I actually struggled with the most on course was fire planning. The reason for that is I never even heard of it until course, and I was totally new to the way in which you talk and communicate in a fire plan. Very new to me. And the way in which the orders process works for fire planning. As an OP member, you're basically the sort of mule of the pack. OPs are a small team. They're normally about 3 or 4 people. And as OP member, which is the first portion of the course I did, about 2 weeks, I learned to basically do a little bit of radio signals, operate the equipment, and understand how the binoculars, the steno, surveillance equipment that we have and the optics that we have works. And then going into the OP2IC, it's more working alongside the FOO, or the forward observation officer, or the captain that you're working with, who's actually adjusting whatever plan that he needs to or she needs to make sure that the commander's intent is being met, i.e. the infantry or the armored group that we're being attached to provide that artillery firepower for. And when it comes to fire planning, as a tech, you're basically doing everything the FOO tells you. If the FOO wants you to adjust to target, record a target, provide specific data or information to allow him to do his job better, that's your job. That's basically what you're doing as a 2IC or as a tech. It's just getting those rounds recorded, pulling in the missions as necessary, and helping the FOO out however you can, whether it be with radios, communication with the rest of the OP team. And honestly, it's a lot of fun being part of the OP team. You're a little bit more left yourselves. You can be attached to, the battle group more up front and personal with the potential enemy you're going against. You get to see artillery in action, the rounds landing, the impacts, adjusting the rounds as necessary. Sometimes it's not always going to be the artillery that's going to be calling in those rounds. It's going to be, the all-arms commander or basically someone who is basically sat in a trench, who isn't part of the artillery, is asking the artillery, we need your help. I'm going to guide you on. I can see the target, and that's all arms call for fire, which I found really, really fun. Actually listening to what, an infantryman or a soldier out in the front that you have no idea where they are basically calling you in and saying, we need your help. Give me artillery right now. This is what I need. And working with them to make sure that you provide them exactly what you can do. Because sometimes, it can be a challenge being asked for stuff that you may not seem to be more applicable as to what you're being asked. They may say, hey, we need this vehicle destroyed. Well, to destroy something on the artillery is a very difficult thing to do, and it's hard to explain in this video. I'm not going to go through much into it now, but being the ability to negotiate with the ground force commander and say, hey, we might not be able to provide you with that, but we can provide you with this, because the artillery still has limitations. Although we are the king of battle, provide a lot of firepower on the battlefield, sometimes there's only so much we can do with the limited resources we have, and we'll do everything we can in our powers, observation post members, to provide that firepower when they need it, but sometimes it's not going to happen, right? And that was interesting too, because you'll find that, well, we only have a battery of guns, but we can only do this much amount of firepower. We can only do this length of smoke. We can only do this length of a linear fire mission. It was all really, really interesting stuff, and I must admit, although I did struggle on the course, I must admit it was not an easy course for me. It was a lot of fun. I had a great time. The guys on the course who I'm sure are watching this right now, big shout out to you all. Thank you for being a fantastic course, having a good laugh. We had a few sad times as well with the rain. We got some gnarly rain on the first time in the field. We got in the field there and it poured non-stop for a solid day. It was like torrential rain. It definitely hit our morale. However, we were commended from our core staff by keeping morale high. We were still smiling, still pushing through, still doing the mission, still doing what we were asked to do. And when you're at that level, when you're working to become a second-in-command or a 2IC, you should be that way anyway. You're not a new troop now. You've done enough time, or you have enough experience to start learning how to cope with rain and whatever. And our group, our detachments worked very well together. As I said, the experience was very high in certain areas. I was definitely the least experienced of all the people on course, and that's why I really did appreciate them all sort of carrying me along, because I was totally new to it. And they did a great job of supporting me and helping me out. And thank you again, if you're all watching this, for doing so. Also, the core staff were fantastic. They pushed us and pushed our limits. They asked us questions that, really kind of put us on edge a little bit. And they said, you know what? Yeah, this is the way we do things. But think tactically. Think outside the box a little bit. This isn't all just, going through the motions and going through a book and reading through and just remembering certain aspects of fire discipline. It's actually applying it and making sure that you can tactically use these scenarios and these kind of fire missions in the sense that's going to work for that ground force command or whatever mission that you're partaking at the time. So really, really fun course. I am definitely at the point where I can say I've done enough training this summer, though. I need to get back into my civilian career and back into making some content for you guys. And I do appreciate each and every one of you for waiting for me to get back into the swing of things. And I'm going to leave you with a very small example from the British Army of how the OP members actually communicate with the command post when calling in fire missions. It sounds all gobbledygook and random if you've never heard of fire discipline on the net for the artillery before, but it just goes to show the amount of information and the kind of, standardized rules that we have when communicating between one another and how formalized it is to ensure that we're doing everything right. And I really like this example because it just gives you some really nice overview of how the communication works. And I'm going to be talking more about the OP and its specific use and how it works in the future. But I really appreciate you all stopping by today. Thank you so much. If you do want to support my channel, please go check out the link box below. It will show you my Patreon, my PayPal, and all my social media sites that you can go check out. If you did enjoy today's video, please leave me a like and hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel. And if you want to be notified of any upcoming content in the future, click the little bell by the subscribe button. Enjoy the little video example.
Hello, Golf Quebec 10, this is Golf Quebec 13 Alpha. Fire mission battery, over.
Golf Quebec 10, fire mission battery, out.
Grid, Sierra Uniform 045524, BMPs in open, at my command, 1 round, fire for effect.
Agreed, Sierra Uniform 045524, BMPs in open, at my command, 1 round, fire for effect, out. Fire mission battery, through to HE L166, PD, charge 3, prepare 1-2 rounds. Through to at my command, number 2, bearing, 1282 mils, number 2, fuse, 22.4, number 2, elevation, 450 mils. 1 round, fire for effect. Through to, ready, through CP, ready 27 over.
Ready 27, out. Fire over.
Fire, out. Number 2, fire. Through to, number 2, shot, rounds complete. Through CP, shot over.
Shot out.
Rounds complete, over.
Rounds complete, out. Drop 50, 5 rounds, fire for effect, over.
Drop 50, 5 rounds, fire for effect, out. Number 2, bearing, 1281 mils, number 2, fuse, 22.4, number 2, elevation, 449 mils. 5 rounds, fire for effect. Through number 2, ready. Through CP, ready, over.
Ready, fire over.
Fire, out. Fire, through. Number 2, shot. Through CP. Shot over.
Shot out.
Rounds complete. Through CP. Rounds completed.
Rounds complete. Out. End of mission. BMP's destroyed. Over.
End of mission. A BMP is destroyed. Out. BMP is destroyed. Good shooting. End of mission. 3 number 2.